Sweety Pie and welcome back to my channel. Alright, this is actually take 2 for this video. Okay, I wanted to film this video literally 2 weeks ago. I filmed it and my freaking air conditioning was on. Hi, I'm Sweety Pie, aka Melissa, aka Sweety Pie on this channel, and I have taken out my air conditioning. Thank goodness for that. Now, that also means that it's going to be very white light for a while because that means that Canada is going into winter. So yeah, hey, how's it going? Subscribe to my channel if you enjoy these types of videos. I mostly focus on palettes, to be honest, but you know, I try to be a little, you know, a little of this, a little of that. Who knows? I'm just whatever. I don't even know. Ugh. Everybody's like, should you have a niche? I'm like, I don't want a niche. I just want to be me. Anyway, we're going to talk about fall palettes today. I'm excited. I have some palettes here. Some of them are older news. And you can get all of these except for one, I think. Yes, I think there's one palette here that I don't know if you'll be able to get because it was kind of like a special edition. But we're going to talk about them all. I have taken close-up pictures and I think I did some swatches. Regardless, let's get into these palettes. So yeah, guys, the first palette I want to talk about, and of course these are all like fall, kind of fall leaves themed. I was walking around today and it was so pretty. I was going to walk in and I was getting the mail and I was taking some pictures of the eyeshadow I have on today. I am reviewing a palette today, or first impressioning a palette today. Anyway, it looked just like this. It looked just like this. There are so many pretty orangey tones in this palette. This is the Milani Pure Passion palette. And there is something so special about the mattes in these palettes. They're super creamy and they're very monochromatic. I love looking at them. Now, that is what you're going to get out of these palettes. A very monochromatic look. A lot of these shadows are going to blend into each other. So that can be something where people are like, what's the point of having it? But in my opinion, I think the shimmers work really pretty. I think they're very shimmery and they're not metallics. Like a couple of them could pass as metallics, but most of them are just like a very shimmery, you know, you're going to get neutral looks out of this. It's going to be very kind of berry toned. You can do some much darker, you know, smokier eyes with this as well. I like this formula. This formula from Milani, I like. There are a couple formulas from Milani that I'm not in love with. This one is also from Milani, and I thought I'd add this one in as well. This is the Milani Gilded Gold palette. I think this is supposed to dupe a Natasha Denona Gold palette, if I'm not mistaken. This is that one, yeah, with the pop of turquoise, I think. Now, these mattes aren't as buildable. I don't love these mattes as much as the ones in this harder packaging. For some reason, they're not as buildable. They're a little bit more patchy, but the shimmers are really pretty. Like, there are some absolutely stunning metallics in this palette. I think that metallics are a lot easier to do, so sometimes brands can really pull it out with the metallics. This palette being one of them. I still think you can get some really beautiful fall looks, and if you put down a primer and work with the darker shades first, I think you can build up a look, but there's nothing really dark in this palette to anchor except for that turquoise, so I usually end up pulling something a little bit darker, kind of like this little duo from NARS. This is the duo in Cordura 1. And it's just two dark matte shadows so that I can like get a darker, you know, darker outer corner, which is something that I like to do with my looks. I like this palette though. I do like the shimmers. They are super, super pretty. There's flaws in everything, right? Everything has flaws. Anyway, continuing. A palette that I wasn't sure about. This is the Revolution Chilled with Cannabis Sativa palette. It's like a hard case palette, like it's a hard metal case. And when you open up the palette, it looks like this. And you've got like the adorable little pot leaves in the embossing. I didn't know if I was gonna like this palette, to be honest. I was like, I am not really vibing with Makeup Revolution's formula, but I did find if I used the darkest shade first and built up like that, these shadows worked really nicely. The glitters were pretty. I used them. They were nice. I kind of like having glitters in a palette just so like I can be like, ooh, you know, do you want to be like really shimmery? Some glitters don't work well. Some of them look chunky and weird. This one, Bud, wasn't the greatest, but Goddess was so pretty. I wore that the one day and it really tied my look together and I liked it a lot. They have a formula in here that is kind of like Super Shock, and I really like, it's really pretty. They have Haze and they have Acapulco, and they are really pretty. So I think that in this palette, at least, their formulas were really nice, and if you know how to work with them, you might really like this palette. And it's really beautiful for fall. It has like some darker green tones as well as the neutral side of like the fall season. All right. Next on the fall list, we have something that people don't like. I actually really like this palette. This is the Naked Heat palette, and this was actually the first Naked palette I ever purchased. This is kind of like when I was getting into buying more high-end makeup. And this was like one of the first, yeah, this was the first Naked palette I purchased. One of the only ones I purchased actually, because Urban Decay, honestly, I really much prefer their more wild side than their like neutral side. This palette though, although I will say yes, it's very monochromatic and could definitely be like a, you know, 6 to 8 pan palette. I love it. I love the shimmers in here. I think they're super unique. Ember is so beautiful. And I think obviously for fall, this is definitely like burnt leaves kind of vibes. You get a lot of smoky red tones and orange tones out of this. And this is one of my favorite Urban Decay palettes. So yeah. Sorry about that. Anyway, to the one palette I don't know if you would be able to purchase, but it is so fall and so like kind of Halloween based. I'm pretty sure it was actually part of one of their Halloween things. I wonder if they'll have more this year. We'll see. This is the Wet n Wild Coffin Break palette. And it's a neutral orangey toned palette with a black. I love the black. Clearly, I think that like this with a black would make these orangey tones pop out so much. Oh, this one right here is just your kind of standard dark coppery shade, but it is so pretty. Like you could make some beautiful neutral looks with that. And I love their formula. I really think it's beautiful. I think it's workable. I don't think that you actually have to worry about building up the shadows. They do actually build on top of each other pretty darn well with Wet n Wild's formula, at least from my experience. 2 palettes left. One is a little older, one's a little newer. I'm gonna go with the little older one first, and then we'll end with the little newer one. This is the Nubian II palette by Juvia's Place, and I feel like I had to add in a Juvia's Place palette. I know a lot of people have these palettes, and I want to entice you to look into your own collection for your fall inspired palettes and not outward. You know, use the stuff you already have, all that good stuff. This one is beautifully fall. Now, there aren't a lot of mattes, but the mattes are very strategic. All right, think about it. You've got Kenya, which is a darker brownie, almost kind of purpley. Then you have Jezebel, which is your dark, it's burgundy. It's literally a burgundy. Then you have these two up here, which is Madagascar and Morocco, your orange, and then your taupey brown. And then everything else is like beautiful shimmery lid space. You know, taking this one, oh, I love sticking my fingers in them because they're so soft and beautiful. You know, you guys see that? It's a fall fantasy. And then you also have a pop of blue and a pop of green that you could definitely put on the lower lash line if you didn't want to use them on the lid. You could also do a popping green eye using Kenya in the crease. Say no more. There are so many things you could do with this palette, and I like Juvia's Place's formula. I think sometimes their darker mattes can be a little bit harder to deal with, but with patience, they are beautiful. Anyway, last but not least, guys, I have the 420 palette. This is kind of controversial because some people did not like this palette. I didn't have a ton of problems. I used it again in the last 2 weeks when I brought these palettes out to do this video, and I did some beautiful looks with it. And it is a fall fantasy. Has some of the most electric greens, and then it goes into like these browny dark gross kind of colors, and then into your yellows, and even like that's pretty much an orange. Full Metal, it's essentially orange. Like, it's a dirty orange, and that's what I mean. Like, this is like a dirty fall palette, and I do like Melt's formula. I know some people didn't like the formula of this one, but I keep trying to figure out what's up with the formula and why people don't like it. I haven't had a whole ton of trouble. I'm sorry. I feel bad. Anyway, guys, that's it for today. That is all for this video, and I hope you guys come back for more. I hope you guys subscribe to my channel and like this video if you enjoyed it, and that will put it out to, you know, other people. And yeah, I hope you guys are staying safe and staying happy and healthy and all that good stuff. I know it's a ride out there still, and you know, it's crazy in my life too, believe me. We're all kind of just like riding the wave. So yeah, mwah, I love you guys so much, and comment down below. I love to chat with you guys, and I try to answer everybody because, you know, that's what I try to do. All right, mwah, bye.